Okay. Hey there, everyone. It's Melanie here from Stamp with Melanie. Thursday evening, June 29th. And tonight we're going to do something a little different. Rather than me just demonstrating a card or a project or multiple cards or projects for you, this time I'm hoping that you will craft along with me. Never fear, if you're watching on replay, you can still craft along then. And I'm hoping that after we're done, that you will share your creations on my Facebook page, Stamp with Melanie. So let me just make sure. Yep, it looks like we're up and going. All right, so just before we get going, for one last time, here are the promotions for June that you need to know about. They're available only through the rest of today and for tomorrow. First up, of course, is the wonderful Designer Series paper sale, where the papers from the annual catalog, the regular Designer Series paper, and one pack from the online exclusives, which is, where is it? Oh, the Hello Irresistible down here. They're 15% off anyhow. And it's a really good deal. If you have some favorites that you're running low on or you haven't bought yet, this is a great time to take advantage of that. And like I said, it's tonight through tomorrow. Okay, next up, also ending tomorrow night, is the Join promotion, where you get $155 worth of products for $99 when you join my team between now and June 30th. This also includes the new online exclusive pre-order, which goes live to customers on July 6th. And so that's not that much of a advance at this point. But the thing is, you get your order with free shipping. And you're under no obligation to place any additional orders if you choose not to. So when this is over and I post the updates on Facebook, then I'll post the link to check out the Join My Team offer then. And the pre-order items, here they are. The Horse and Sleigh stamp set and dies, and some Designer Series paper and snowflake embellishments. And then this other super cute bundle, Timeless Charm, are the items that we can add to our pre-order, or to our new member order. But they can be whatever you want. You don't have to get these things if you don't want to. Okay, so we are going to make a card together. And this is the card that I made as a sample, and I'm actually going to change it up a little as we go. So just to get started, if you haven't cut paper ahead of time, you're going to want a card base of 5.5 by 8.5. And then you're going to want to fold that in half and score it, creating your base. So technically that would be at like 4.25 inches. And then you're going to do another score on this item, or on your card base rather. And you're going to go to 2 1/8 inches and score that again. So we're going to wait so that you have a chance to catch up. So that's 8.5 by 5.5. Score and fold in the middle, and then score and fold at 2 1/8 inches. Okay. So we'll wait for a second on that. So for those of you that are in part of the country that has beautiful clear skies, here in southwestern Pennsylvania, we have Canadian wildfires. And We don't have fires. We have the smoke from. And typically when I look out the window of my craft room here, I can see across the river from us a clearly defined hill and a road cutting down the hill towards the river. Well, now when I look out my window, all I see is the shadow of a hill. And that's what it looks like when we're getting a bad rainstorm or a snowstorm, but it's sunny skies. Sort of sunny. Anyhow. All right. But the good news is all of that's supposed to move out tomorrow. And I just hope that the fires in Canada are put out soon as well. So, all right, I'm going to take my card base and I'm going to set that aside. The next thing I want is cardstock. And you're going to need to cut 2 strips at 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. Okay, and then 1 strip at 1 1/4 by 5 1/4. So this, whatever color you picked out to coordinate with your stamp set and your designer series paper, that'll be what you have. Mine is Flirty Flamingo. And after you cut that, then you either want to cut a piece of designer series paper or cardstock to 4 1/2 by 5 1/8. And I think this is the one I cut for that. Let me double check. 2 rulers, that's what I need. Okay, 5 1/8. And that's not 4 1/2, so let's see what this one is. This one's 5 1/8 by 4 1/2. Okay, that's the one I want. So you've got your cardstock strips of 1 7/8 by 5 1/4, 2 of those, and 1 at 1 1/4 by 5 1/4. And when you get those, you can set those aside. And then you want to pull in your cardstock or designer series paper that's 4 1/2 by 5 1/8. Now, if you are using designer series paper, then this next step you will skip. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Layering Leaves stamp set. And I'm going to stamp some of the leaves and little flowers and the little dots, splatter dots, all over this piece of paper. So I'm going to use Garden Green for my leaves. And I think they're still in the stamp set. Nope. All right, where's the leaves? Where? Oh, here they are. Shoo! Okay, I'm going to use this stamp right here. This stamp set, Layering Leaves, is a set that was partially designed by Rachel Tessman as her million sales stamp set. One of the perks that you get as a demonstrator if you hit $1 million in sales is you get to design a stamp set with the Stampin' Up! Artists. And you get your name on it. It's kind of a big deal. I will never see that day, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't like to. Okay, let's see. I'm just going to scatter these around. They don't need to be everywhere, because there's more we're going to add. All right, I'm stamping in Garden Green, if you were curious as to the color. And now I'm going to grab Flirty Flamingo, and I'm going to stamp the little flower stamp. Can you see which one that is? Here, let's try that. I think that look, yeah, it's a little easier to see. All right, I'm going to stamp this in Flirty Flamingo. And again, I'm just going to kind of put it wherever. Okay, I think, let's see, maybe one more right there. Let's go right there. All right, that looks good. And then finally, I'm going to pull in some crumb cake to use with that splatter stamp. And I'm going to stamp that off before I stamp on my cardstock. Okay. So there's the splatter stamp and my crumb cake. Get these other guys out of here. All right, so I'm going to stamp off before I stamp on my page. I just don't want this to be overwhelming. Okay, one more up here. I think that's good. Are you still with me? Are you ready to move on to the next step? Or are you still stamping? I've got to clean my stamp. Okay. So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this up. And we already know that we want the 5 and the 1/8. Okay, and we're going to cut this way. We're going to cut 2 of these at 1 3/4 inches. And if I did my math right, this will work out. So there's 1 3/4, 1 3/4, and then 1 inch left over. Okay. So now we're going to grab back those strips that we cut earlier, and we're going to adhere these to them. And I'm just going to use stamp and seal with that. Okay. Okay, there's 2 and 1 more. All right. Okay, do you have your strips ready to go? All right. Now, before we do anything more with those, bring your card base back in. And I forgot to mention with the cutting in, directions for ahead of time that you need to cut 2 tabs that are 5/8 inch by 2 inches. So there's one of mine, and here's the other one. And you basically want to score these then at 1 1/4 inches. So I'm going to bring my trimmer back up. Just set that one in there. I'm going to use the light gray scoring blade. And now 1 1/4 on this guy. Go like that. Okay. Now, and I didn't do this on my sample card, but it looks so much neater if you do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm folding these in half, or folding them on the score line. Then I'm going to lay one down on either side of the score line, like so. And I'm going to add, now you can use liquid glue for this. I'm going to use Seal Plus. So it's pretty much whatever you want to use. And what you want to do is, while it's folded, you want to put the fold up against the score line, but not overlapping it. So you want to put it kind of like that. And make sure your flap is still loose. So let me give you a couple seconds to catch up on that. That's 2 pieces of the cardstock that matches your framing layer. In my case, it's Flirty Flamingo. And they are 5/8 by 2 inches and scored at 1 1/4 inches. And then after you adhere them, it's going to look like this. Okay, so now we're going to take these panels, and we're using the bigger ones that are 1 7/8 by 5 1/4, and we're going to adhere these to our card front on either side of that score line. Okay, and you can just use regular seal or whatever you use for your adhesive to do that. By putting these down first, it gave it a much cleaner look. I'll show you the example from the swap that I showed last week, and you'll see what I mean. All right, that looks good. Okay, let's pause for a second. Here's my sample card that I made earlier. And see, I kept the flap on the whole outside. So that's how it looks on the underside. It looks so much cuter and more finished. This is the swap I showed last week. See how she tucked it under the designer series paper? I just think it looks so much neater. So that's why I changed it up for our project tonight. Okay. And I'm going to put this one on the other side, and I'm taking care to make sure that the tops and the bottoms align. So even if they're not perfectly centered, they're still pretty close. And I probably have my tabs up too high here. I'll probably end up trying to scooch them down or maybe even replace them. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Are you ready to move on? We still have this one sitting on the side. That's okay. All right. We're going to move on. So now I'm only, for simplicity's sake, well, actually, before we do that, I'm going to take this piece of garden green cardstock, piece of Flirty Flamingo cardstock, and a piece of vellum. This is the Vellum Basics or whatever it's called that we have in the catalog now. And I'm going to take this bow punch, which coordinates with both the little flower and the leaf images from the stamp set. And I'm just going to punch out a couple of each. I used this stamp set and punch for one of the swap cards I made. And I had to punch out like 50 of these things. Maybe it seems like even more than that. I think I put 3 or 4 on each one. It was a lot of punching. All right, let's do this. It's a lot easier to punch it with vellum than cardstock. Okay, and just do a couple garden greens. Okay, set that down there. We're done with the punch and these cardstocks and the vellum. Get them out of the way. Okay, now I'm going to take a piece of basic white cardstock and my mat, and I'm going to stamp Sending Hugs. And I'm going to stamp that in Flirty Flamingo. And this is just a scrap. Oh, speaking of scraps, I know I'm kind of like jumping around here, but I got something to show you that I saw last week or so in a training that I was watching, and I'm like, this is a sweet idea. So, you know how when, just by virtue of the fact that our cards are 5.5 by 4 1/4, and then when we do layers, they're 5 1/4 by 4, and we end up with tons of strips of white cardstock left. Tons of them, or at least I end up with tons of them. And you can't throw them away because they're very, very useful for labels and things like that. So, whoever I was watching took a mug and stuck them all in the mug. And she keeps them right by her desk. And then when you need a strip, you pull one out. And there's all kinds of different sizes, widths, different lengths. But they're nice and contained, and you always know where they are. So that's my little tip for tonight. All right. So I stamped Sending Hugs, and now I'm going to punch that out. And I'm using the 2 1/4 inch punch for that. 2 1/4. And I'm just going to punch that out. Now, I may have a defective stamp because this is the second or third time that it's made this mark on my S. So I'm going to check it out. And if it is defective, all I have to do is reach out to Stampin' Up! And they will replace that for me. So if you ever have a stamp that's not working the way you think it should, reach out to your demonstrator, or you can reach out to Stampin' Up! Yourself, and they will replace the stamp set for you, or at least the bad stamp. Okay, so this is my sentiment for my card, and now I'm going to take a piece of garden green. No, I'm not. I'm going to take a piece of Flirty Flamingo cardstock, and Where did I just put those samples or scraps I had? Here we go. All right, and I'm going to use this Stylish Shapes dies. I'm going to use this one right here and die cut that. So let me do that and I'll be right back. Hi, Tina Pool. Long time no see you. Okay. All right. So now before I layer these, which I'll do like that, I'm just going to put some adhesive on the back of the circle where I did my stamping. I'm just kind of putting adhesive all over it. I'm going to grab these punches, the leaves that we punched out. I'm just going to stick them on there. We'll put this little flower here. Then we have our vellum. I'm going to put that up here. Yeah, all that adhesive sticking right to me. And I'm going to take this one, the other vellum leaf, and put it down here. And now I'm going to layer these together. Okay. Much better than just plain one. All right. So now let's bring our card back in. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue on either side of those flaps and then just put this circle on it like that. Okay, so this is going to be a really easy little fun fold for you. I'm going to use liquid glue for this. But you can use whatever you have. And I think that's going to be just perfect. Okay, so now, last thing, we only have 2 more things to do here. I'm going to take this strip and stick it right on the inside of the card. What I want to try to do is line it up so it's about the same. Yeah, so it's about the same as the ones on the front. You can just eyeball it. Okay. I think that looks good. Okay, I'm going to add a couple of iridescent rhinestones because we need our little bling. All right, so here's the card. And then when you open it, it opens like that. You have this space to write in. So if you did not use a white card base, you'll need to add a strip of white in here that you can use to write on. So then it'll open like that, and it'll stand up, and it'll stay open. And yeah, right, make me a liar. There's that. Here, this one I know does it. My little plain sample that I made earlier. And here's the one that I got as the swap. So there's 3 different, it's staying by itself now. So there you have it. that's tonight's project. Now, I know I probably went a little fast and you probably lost me somewhere, or I probably lost you somewhere along the line. When I post the updated version of all of this to Facebook and to YouTube, I will include all the directions that you need for making this card. Like, I won't include the circle size or anything like that. You don't need that. But I will include the basic instructions, like the cutting instructions and how to assemble. Okay? Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a very nice 4th of July, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.